Welcome to Tea Talks, where young adult stories and church experience come together into a beautiful blend to inspire us. So, grab a cup of tea, sit down, relax as we spill the tea. And with me today, I have my good friend Rachel. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to spend this time with you.
Thank you, me too.
Yes. So, Rachel, we're going to get right into it.
Okay.
We're doing this series based on this book. This was a research done by the Fuller Institution. It's called, the book is called Growing Young, where they looked at different characteristics of churches that are thriving with young adults. And one of the characteristics was warm community.
Okay.
So, Rachel, what does a warm community looks like to you?
I would say it looks different. Like, not everyone's uniform. Like, it's accepting of all cultures and differences, I would say. Very non-judgmental, welcoming home.
How does it feel?
I'm not well, we're still working on that feeling, I guess. But I would say so far the small group we have created feels very much like home. It's very family oriented. It's very comfortable, and yeah.
So it feels home, it feels comfortable. I like that. A lot of times when we are talking to different leaders and usually the older generation, sometimes they are afraid when we say like a place that is judgment free and it's inclusive. They're afraid like, oh, but now we're going to accept everybody, we're going to lower our standards. What would you have to say to somebody that have those concerns?
I would say that just because we accept them does not mean that our standards changing. It just means that we are giving them a chance to grow and God to work in their lives. And just welcoming them with open arms and giving that opportunity for God to work and leave your personal opinion out of it. It's not our job to change, it's God's.
Yeah, it doesn't mean just because you love and you care somebody that they might not be going exactly in the path that God tell us is the best path for us.
Right.
They might not be there yet, but just because we love and care for them, it doesn't mean that we are supporting their lifestyle.
Yes.
And I think this is something that is different for the different generations to understand.
Yeah.
But that's why we're creating this space, so we can talk about it and say, hey, as much as love and support doesn't mean that
acceptance.
Well, let's say love, support, and accept doesn't mean that you say, hey, continue with the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt, you personally, disconnected from your community?
Yeah, definitely. I would say probably earlier in life, back in high school, when I didn't walk the path that everyone expected me to, I would say that definitely I felt very disconnected. I would say I'm still building that connection back later on in life. It's definitely a struggle, and it's not been the easiest path to take, but I see hope and I see change coming. We just have to be very consistent.
On your part, what do you feel was the steps that you took to be able to find a sense of belonging and a sense of community and warmth again?
I would say when I moved back to my home church, the opportunity came up during nominating committee for me to take on praise team. And I would say that was it was definitely very nerve-wracking for me to accept that. I hadn't accepted an official position in a church yet. So taking that on was a little bit scary, but I knew that these kind of opportunities don't come around very often, and so when you're given an opportunity, take it, because you don't know if it'll come back around. It's not been easy. It's been about 2 years now, but I would say the biggest thing is you just have to stay consistent. You have to prove. The older generation, I feel like there's a misconception that we're not going to follow through with what task we're given, and so I think even when there are bumps in the roads, you just got to keep pushing forward.
So basically you would say that the steps that you took was, okay, I'm going to commit to something.
Yeah.
And I am sure that's going to make a big difference on the concept that the older generation has towards the younger generation.
Yeah.
What do you see, not only to yourself, but to other young adults, what do you see is like a common challenge that young adults face in finding or building a warm community?
I would say involvement and giving them leadership roles, that even if that means letting them test the waters a little bit and do things a little bit differently from what you might be used to. I think giving them that chance and just holding their hand through the process, helping guide them in a healthy way to do this. And that change doesn't always mean bad. It's just different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered generational gaps and misunderstanding within your community, like specifics?
Yeah, definitely. I would say with the praise team, it's definitely been a challenge. With music, we have tried to update our style of worship. Not necessarily that we're like going extreme, it's just a little bit updated. And I feel like to reach our younger, we have to have more relatable music. And that worship can be in hymns, but it can also be in more modern styled music. So I think that's definitely been hard. There's been a lot of pushback from the older generation, a lot of assumptions that if you give an inch, we're going to take a mile. So that's been a big gap.
It's interesting because I've been doing several of these interviews, and it looks like the topic of music keeps coming back.
That's it.
So it looks like it's a challenge everywhere.
Yeah.
How have you, now you are the music leader, how are you navigating this?
Day by day, really. We have a good group. We've grown. We've come a long way. We are doing our best to be respectful of the traditions of the older generations, but also working in a Vesper style. It gives us a little bit more freedom to reach the community and younger generation. I'd say we're still navigating the process, but for us, it's not just been about music, it's also been about the community, and that our group is really made up of a lot of people that started coming to church pretty recently and are new to this church. So it's important to us beyond just the music. It's the group that we've made and the hearts that we've already touched.
I love that because music is what is connecting you, but it's really not just about the music, it's about the people that you're reaching and building a community. That is wonderful. Looking ahead, what do you believe will be key factors in fueling warm communities for future generations of young people?
I would say for us, it's getting through the rocky part of it, and it's building that foundation, showing that we're gonna step up, we're going to commit, we're gonna be there, we're gonna keep pushing forward despite how much pushback we may get, and just proving, or really just paving the way for the future of younger generations, and just, I guess, hitting those roadblocks now so that the others don't have to. Because most of our group is compiled of, I guess, those that grew up in the church but may have left for a while. And I feel like when you grow a thicker skin, and we're able to kind of handle that. We've seen it for years, what the atmosphere is, and that it can be very judgmental. So we have a tougher skin to handle those, but someone coming in new with zero background and spiritual background might not be able to. So that's where it's been very hard for us, but also keeps us very passionate.
I think for our pioneers, it's hard because you're like opening the way for the next generations. But if you give up, what are the chances for people that are just coming in? You know, like that person who they just walked in and somebody look up and down at them and say, why you dress like this, you know, or something like that. So yes, you're right. And especially because you raised in a church, so you know the value of it and you don't want to lose it. You want to be there. But somebody coming in, they might not know. So having you guys there to be that support and that bridge, it's wonderful. What do you see that us church leaders and churches, how can we help you guys, young adults, feel welcomed or to create a welcoming community?
I would say being very intentional about getting to know someone and not just accepting the fact that, oh, well, they're a lot younger, they'll find their group. I think that we, as a young and old, we really need to connect. We need to have that mutual trust of that we're all here for the same purpose and the same mission. And just sometimes keeping your 2 cents to yourself as far as what you really think. I think that's kind of a big thing that the older generation just feels it their responsibility to make you aware of what they
immediately.
Yes, too quickly. And I think just moving forward, you just need to be more accepting, understanding that we live in a different time. We've grown up in a different time, and that things are going to look a little bit different. Our worship styles, neither of us have anything wrong with our worship styles. It's just that it's not what you're used to.
It's different, but it's not exactly wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Keeping the 2 cents. There is a time for the 2 cents.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's not to say that, oh, we never want to hear anything what the older generation wants to say. But I can see the problem when we go too fast, too soon.
Yeah.
And then first they need to fall in love with Jesus.
Yes.
Understand. And then when they are ready.
Yeah.
Usually when they come to you, then they're ready to hear, you know, and then they can make change. Otherwise, it's going to be too soon. It's going to just push them away. This is wonderful. I learned a lot from what you said, and especially the misconceptions about millennials not wanting to be committed and things like that. And you're an example of a millennial that is committed. So they are out there. Yeah. We have to take the time to get to know them and all everything. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here and do this video and share your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.
And for you at home, thank you for joining Tea Talks. Keep stirring up the conversations and embracing the beautiful and the messiness of life. And until next time.